I get asked all the time if it's weird to have had your life seen by the world.
Great show.
I think I'm in a great spot right now in my career where it's a good start. Like, it's a really good foundation for something. And it could be easy to look at it and say, wow, things are great, and this is it. But it's so not for me.
Wine-stained lips, yes, you're nothing but trouble. Cold to the touch, but she's warm as a devil. Trying to break the chains, but the chains only bring me. Trying to break the chains, but the chains only bring me.
I was first sent Kingdom. The name of the show was Navy Street at the time, which is the gym that we work out in. And I read the script, I'd say in like November 2013. I knew right away that this was something that I wanted to do, that this was the show I needed to do.
I had been a fan of MMA for a long time, many, many years ago, back before it became what it is today in terms of being in the mainstream. I really like to write about people and identity and fitting into a world and a subworld and how that sort of defines them on a larger level in their life.
All right, everybody set? Roll sound, please.
Rolling.
I didn't know Nick very well. I didn't know much about him. I mean, I knew who he was just from his previous life with his brothers. And, you know, at first, I in all honesty, was reluctant because my biggest fear was making a show that fighters wouldn't respect. And given Nick's past life, I was concerned, well, are they going to just see the headline of this and write us off?
They said no at first to let me come in and read, and then they let me come in finally and called me back for another audition, another one. Finally, I got to the end, and from what I heard after the fact, they really didn't want to hire me at first. I think that, you know, the idea was that this young kid, having come out of success at an early age, is probably an asshole. Like, that's the assumption. And, you know, I've met a lot of young people who had success at a young age that are assholes.
Let's go behind the fence. Let's go behind the fence.
But Nick came in and auditioned and read, and as soon as he came in, I was completely blown away.
I need some help.
Don't ask me this.
I just need to speed up the recovery, all right? My window is closing.
Bullshit. You're fine.
See, no, that's not how it is, okay? At my level, if you go this long between fights, people fucking forget about you overnight.
So the casting process was crucial because it's not about finding muscular actors, you know, guys that have been in the gym, because those guys are a dime a dozen. It's a very character-driven family drama. The fighting's only one component of it. So I had to find guys that could carry off the physicality of it, but also had the chops to do a lot of the deeper dives with the character work.
Back up. It's really simple. He's gonna get stood up twice.
I think that actors playing fighters is very interesting. Some actors have it and some don't, just like some fighters have it and some don't. But there are commonalities there. To me, a good actor plays subtly. It's the little shifts that you watch them when they react to a situation. When I see that and I see an actor do it well, I say, well, you know, he has it.
You know, the shows that I love all have family at the core. It's obviously something I connect to in a big way, and the complication of family and what that's like and how it changes and when it affects your work. So I was drawn to it. And then Nate, specifically, the character that I play. I think that Nate is incredibly driven. I think he's so driven at times that it actually makes his life more complicated than it needs to be, you know, and he also internalizes a lot of his feelings and emotions, and I've been known to do that from time to time.
A lot of what Nate is going through, his character, is speaking to Nick on a personal level, just because he sort of transitioned his career from one thing into this. He's becoming this whole new thing, and a lot of Nate's struggle is, well, if I lost fighting, who am I? What would I be? But I think Nick too is, coming out of what he's coming out of with his brothers. He's entering also a new chapter and figuring out where he wants to go, what kind of artist does he want to be, and I think he's answering those questions.
I think the thing about growing up is having done it for the most part in the public eye. I don't really know anything different at this point. And that was great. 7 years of some of the greatest experiences I'll ever have, I think. But it also comes with complications.
You're still tight together, aren't you?
Absolutely. There are side projects in the works. We each have our own individual dreams and ambitions outside the group, but anything we do outside the group is just a side project because obviously we're brothers and we're not breaking up.
And it does complicate things, though, is the reality when you're trying to transition to adulthood and a career as an adult. So, that moment came when I actually sat with my brothers after 8 years of making music together and TV projects and other things we'd done, and just said, look, I need to close this chapter. Before Kingdom wasn't a good spot. At 21 to feel like kind of washed up is a horrible feeling. But it's probably a question a lot of 22-year-olds coming out of college ask themselves, what am I doing next?
Do it this way, this will look freaking great as well. It's just coming into your side of your head, like into your temple right here. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, just on the side.
Right into his temple.
Boom. Now you shot 30%.
Great job today.
Thanks, bro.
Well done. Get some rest. It's hard. It definitely is very hard. These are some of the most talented fighters and trainers in the world. They approach this with a lot of passion. So I think we all kind of hold it. It's a big responsibility to do it justice.
I'm so aware of the fact that I'm not a professional fighter. I'm playing a professional fighter, but I'm not one. There's fighters that watch this show, and I've met a lot of them. And if something looks fake, they'll know, and it'll take them out.
In order to play a scene realistically, you're gonna have to know MMA moves. This is a show that fans of MMA really like, so it's really important that they learn these moves well. You have to be able to speak the language that the people are watching. Being a fighter isn't just, well, I get in there and I fight. I can pay two guys on the street right now after they're drinking to fight. That doesn't make them fighters. A fighter is a lifestyle. A fighter is someone who will take the bruising, the pain, the disappointment, the canceled fights, the losses, and still keep moving forward. That's a fighter. You really have to love it. You can't come to somebody and say, you're a fighter. It doesn't work that way. They always have to come to you and say, I want to fight.
Everyone has a reason they fight. Whatever it is, there's always something there. And it is very, primal to me, very human, basic, desires. For a lot of these guys, it's not about hurting people. It's really not. It's about loving the art of fighting. And I love the art of what I do. There's a very specific connection that I feel to it. This show, I am taking punches and throwing punches. In my real life, I feel like approaching it the same way. The payoff is when the director or the editor of the show who sees everything and pieces it together says, your work is better this year than even last year. The payoff is getting on stage in front of 50,000 people and every single one of them singing the words to a song that I wrote in a time in my life when I thought my career was over.